Bearing with me. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for jumping on. We are live and we are here and we are talking about what men really think about sex. Oh, I just realized that I think that I did not. Bear with me. Where are we? Okay. Where is my, you guys are so patient. Thank you so much for being patient. Where is my, oh no, are we not? Are we live? Are we live? Okay. Are we on Facebook? Okay. Bear with me, friends. Bear with me, friends. Bear with me, friends. There we go. Now we're going to be where everyone can see me. I swear one of these days I'm going to get it right. I'm going to get it right. I promise. All right. So we're going to jump in here. Great. Okay. So now I know everybody can see. So we're going to talk about, let's make sure that people are able to jump on here. All right, friends. So for those of you that are watching, going to be able to jump on here live or watching later, today we are going to talk about what men really think. So again, what we're always tackling, what we're always initiating, what we're always instigating is this idea of why. Right. So here at Daring Deeply, we're always asking the question, why? Why do we think the way that we do? Why do we proceed the way that we do? Why do we make decisions the way that we do? Why do people behave the way they do? And how can we more positively respond by asking the question, why? Curious before critical. So again, once again, I invite all of you to consider through the framework of this. Why does this matter? Why does today's DLea DLayered matter? Why does it matter? What men really think about sex? Because I think there is this idea, and we're going to really unpack this today, that men have this idea about what sex is, what sex isn't, right? And the ladies that are watching, maybe you're voraciously taking notes. I encourage you to do so and participate in the conversation. So hello, Lori. Thanks for jumping on. And if you have questions, I really want this to be conversational, friends. As you know, those of you that have been on these before, I want you to be here present with me. Let's have a conversation. If you have questions, thoughts, answer the questions through the chat. If you are watching this later, please engage. So asking the question, why does it matter what men think about sex? Because there may be some limiting beliefs surrounding this idea of what men believe and think about sex from both a feminine and a masculine perspective. I want you to consider what you know right now, ladies and gentlemen, what you know about what men think, how we think when it comes to sexual intercourse, sexual activity, sexual experiences, sex, arousal, intimacy, all of those things. I want you to process that. So I have some questions like we always like to jump into. So I have some questions for you to ponder, to think. And again, if you have answers and you want to type those into the chat, I'd love to do that. I'd love to engage with all of you. So here we go. Have you been left wondering, ladies, I'm speaking directly to you. Have you been left wondering, I'm reading off my notes, that's why I'm not ignoring you. I want to make sure I stay on task. Left wondering what he's really thinking about during sex. Have you ever thought about that? Has there ever been an experience that you've had with your spouse, with a partner, a sexual encounter with a man, and you're wondering, what is he thinking about during sex? Because you may not even know what he's thinking about. That's a whole nother line that we're going to tackle a little bit later. Does a man want what I want in a sexual experience? Men, those of you that are watching right now, do you really know what you want? Perhaps you've been placed in a limiting space in what you are able to express and what you're not able to express. We're going to jump into that in just a moment too. Hello, Leslie. Good to see you. Thanks for jumping on. Do all men constantly think about sex? And why is that? Yes or no? Do you believe that all men think about sex all the damn time? Right? I'm sure that there are those of us out there that think this for sure, right? Where does that come from? Where does that narrative come from? Right? Do men think about sex all the time? What does he really want? Another question for us. What do I really want? Gentlemen, if you're watching this, what do you want truly, deeply? Maybe you haven't been able to express this to a woman, perhaps ever, on what you really want in your sexual experiences. Do you feel safe enough? Do you feel secure enough? Do you feel vulnerable enough to express what you really want sexually? And perhaps you've been burned in that regard. Perhaps you've expressed that before. Maybe it was the way that you expressed that wasn't received in a productive way. We're going to address all of this today, so stay tuned. All right. So here we go. You may be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, you may be surprised on what comes out of my mouth today about what men think about sex, because I'm going to invite you all, again, as we say, to be curious before critical, to be curious and be open-minded to what I present here today. Because my guess is you're going to find some things that go, oh, didn't know that. Or maybe it's being reinforced. Maybe these are ways in which you have discovered these things regarding what men think about sex, and now they're being reinforced, and it's going to provide some inspiration, some motivation, right? In some ways in the next time you engage sexually with your spouse, with your partner, moving forward. Newsflash, friends, men want to engage with you ladies sexually from an emotional standpoint. That's right. We want to emotionally connect with you before we have sex. It's just not you. I promise. Now, where do we learn that type of emotional connectivity to a woman before, during, and after sex? The truth is, we don't. Ooh, where do we learn this idea of emotional connectivity before and during and after sex? I got news for you, friends. This ain't a class that's taught in high school or college or graduate school. It should be. Maybe, perhaps, we spend less time on trigonometry and more time on sexual connectivity in healthy, bountiful, pleasurable, erotic ways. Anybody up for that class? Anyone? Anyone? Yeah, me too. So, where does it come from? It's true. We men want to connect to you emotionally. It's very true. The issue is this. We men learn about sex. This is an important framework. This is an important foundational account into where we're moving today. So stay with me. Where do we men learn about sex? About connecting with a woman on a sexual level? Where does that come from? Anyone? Anyone have an idea? I've got some thoughts. So again, if you're here, jump on. Let me hear you. So I will offer this. We've been taught from a sexual standpoint. We men have been taught from a sexual standpoint to be a couple of things. See if this reigns true, gentlemen and ladies. See if this has been your experience, or perhaps this has been a narrative in which you have reinforced because that is what you have been taught, either by men, society, religion, parents, friends. Okay. We men have been taught sex is about this, for us to be the aggressive one. Right? We men are the aggressive one. We men want sex all the time. Myth or truth? We're also taught about sex that we are the initiator. So in line with that aggressive type, that it's our job as men to be the initiator into a sexual experience. Myth or truth? Performance-based, I have down on my notes, right? We are inundated. We men are inundated by media, socialization, culture, right? That it's all about performance. It's all about how we show up, okay? And actually, the act of sex, the act of sexual intercourse is dependent upon our arrival, if you will, the erection, right? It is a performance, or is it? So much of this is wrapped up into a masculine shaming entity, right? There are men on this call. There are women on this call right now who have engaged with a man. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's an ex-spouse. Maybe it's a partner, a current partner who has experienced performance-based anxiety. This is tough, especially in a world where the number one fear, and it's not close, for us men is to appear weak, So much of our sexual performance is housed in virility, how strong we are, how powerful we are, how hard we are, literally and figuratively. It's so performance based. Did you show up? Were you able to remain hard? Were you able to remain erect through the entire sexual experience? And what happens if you're not? So performance based. Myth or truth? And lastly, that we're always ready, right? There is this narrative that comes through that says men are always ready for sex, ready to go. Let's go. Let's go. Right? Myth or truth? What are men really thinking about? If we want to connect to you ladies emotionally, and yet we have all of these societal narratives, cultural narratives, religious narratives, wherever it may be from, right, that comes from that we are supposed to be performance-based, initiators, aggressors. Imagine, ladies, I would invite you to consider what potentially type of pressure and anxiety that places on us, especially when we haven't been taught how to be emotionally connected to you sexually. Where are we supposed to learn this? Maybe it's on a DLea DLayered podcast, right? So where have we learned our roles in sex? This is yet another layer. I think it's important for us to understand, both the men on the call and the ladies on the call. I would invite you to consider this. Hello, Ashley. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you being here. And again, if you're here, have questions, want to engage with us, please do. I encourage you, I challenge you to jump on here and be vulnerable, be strong, and say, hey, I have this experience. Right? That's how we begin to crash into the taboos of sexual conversations, friends, is we jump in here, right? Even when it may be uncomfortable. So where did we learn, us men, where did we learn our roles sexually? Well, think about this. Let's think about this. We've learned our roles from a number of areas, most notably masturbation. Self-pleasure when we were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and on into adulthood. For most men, until the day we die, right? We engage in self-pleasure. Let's talk like it is, because it's incredibly natural in which to do so, right? And there can be a lot of shame associated with masturbation. So hang with me here on this narrative. Hello, Michelle. Good to see you. Thanks for jumping on. So masturbation is about self-pleasure. It's about engaging in what feels good to ultimately bring us to a climax, to orgasm, correct? Right? Both men and women engage in masturbation all the time. Okay? But what's interesting to note about male masturbation, when going through puberty, most notably, when all that change begins to happen, and by the way, those of you that are parents on the call, I would highly encourage those of you that have sons to make masturbation incredibly normal, right? To rid the shame from it, okay? From that self-exploration. For so much sexual dysfunction comes from the shaming of masturbation. Take note of that. I would invite you to consider. So masturbation is the act of self-pleasure to receive and to initiate and to engage in orgasm, right? So if we think about a little boy who may have shame associated with that, in other words, mom or dad may be coming through the door at any time. So masturbation must be quick. It must be rapid, right? To receive and to get to orgasm, because orgasm feels really good. Raise your hands. Hello, right? Orgasm. Hello. Of course, I want orgasm. It feels incredibly amazing, right? So think about that little boy who's engaging in masturbation, right? He's trying to get somewhere, a destination, orgasm, right? Now, then mix that with potentially his exposure to pornography. And we've had conversations about pornography on DLea DLayered. We're not going to tackle that specifically today. You can go back and watch that episode from several weeks back on my take on pornography and its place in our society. But if we're watching, if we're engaging in pornography, right, if we're watching that and leveraging that, we boys, young men, right, and see that as an example, right, and perhaps don't have the maturity to look at that as performance, right, and not look at it as, right, an ideal. Okay. So much of what we see in pornography is rapid, quick, to the point, right? To get to orgasm. So now then we translate our first experiences with sexual connectivity, most notably with ourselves, masturbation, pornography. And then we translate that into our first experience with women and moving into adulthood, our sexual experiences with women. So we're taking self-pleasure and replacing the self with you, ladies. So when we begin to understand that women want more, right, ladies? You want more than just the quick and dirty getting to orgasm, seeing that he comes. And what about you? Now perhaps we know where this comes from, pun intended, right? He is transferring his experience with self-pleasure and masturbation, pornography, and into a sexual experience with a partner, right? And see how the wires are not crossing, or they are crossing, they're not connecting, right? So now he has this living, beautiful, stunning woman who wants and desires him. That adds this incredibly bountiful sexual erotic level to his pleasure. And yet he has an incredibly limited perspective on what sex really is based on masturbation and pornography. Are we seeing it? Are we getting it? All right. So no wonder there's this misfiring. No wonder there's no foreplay. No wonder there's no touching and feeling and emotional connectivity. Does he want it? Oh, yes, we do. Ladies, gentlemen, we do. We want that emotional connectivity. Hello, Scott. Thanks for jumping on here, buddy. Scott says, good topic today. I can relate. Yeah, me too. Thanks, my friend. We also learn about our roles, sexually speaking, from other boys. Anybody else have that experience? Buddies, right? We boys grow up with other young boys, and they may have experiences from their house, right? Some may be healthy, some may not be healthy, right? And of course, the locker room talk, right? This bravado that can happen with men, boys, right? Conquering, right? Possessing, domineering, finishing, winning can then mold and fuse into our sexual experience with women, which really has little or no place. Again, we're always asking the question, why, ladies and gentlemen? Why is it important to understand the narrative and the roles in which men learn about sex and where it comes from? It's important to know what we're thinking and why we're thinking what we're thinking. Okay, so what's important to note is, I referred to this earlier. We men want to connect to you, ladies, emotionally when it comes to our sexual experience with you. I promise. You may not have heard this before. You may not have experienced this before, right? Oftentimes we hear men typically are emotionally unavailable, most especially when it comes to sexual connectivity. And I would invite us to consider something different. Let's rest in that for a moment. To consider something different. So I would like to highlight a few points here of what draws men emotionally to you, ladies. What draws us men to you emotionally that gets us going, connects with you prior, during, and after sex? Are you interested? Are you leaning forward? Do you want to know? Do you want to know what we men really deeply down feel and are drawn to emotionally to you so that we can connect on a sexually profound level? Are you ready? You're taking notes? All right, so here we go. Some of the ways in which we connect to you emotionally that draw us closer to you sexually. When you show us off, we men love to be shown off, and not in a way that is full of bravado and ego, but there is nothing sexier. There is nothing more emotionally connective is when we hear our woman, our lady, brag on us, most notably to her closest friends and her family over social media with authenticity, right? And genuineness, right? Not just to say it, to make everyone look good. But there is something. Have you, gentlemen, you may be able to relate to this. Gentlemen, have you ever overheard your wife, your partner, an ex-partner brag on you and you overheard? How'd that make you feel? Connected, Felt so good, so honored, so cherished. That, ladies, draws us into you emotionally and brings forth a deeper, more profound sexual connectivity. Additionally, when you celebrate, ladies, when you celebrate with us, it draws us in emotionally, connects us deeper, wants us to have incredibly electric sex. When you celebrate with us, you celebrate our wins together, something that has to do with work or with parenting, right? Something emotionally connective. Some of our self-care, those of us gentlemen, okay, who are engaged in taking care of ourselves, our inner work, as we say, that ladies, that you celebrate that with us, draws us in emotionally and makes that sexual connectivity even more robust. Are you in for that, girls, ladies, women? Right. And lastly, and then I've got some key takeaways here. Lastly, we love it when you compliment us and do it in unconventional ways. You're complimenting things that are typically unconventional, right? Perhaps it's something like this, babe, as you say to us, babe, I love it when you take the time to fill our gas tank, to fill my gas tank, right? I love to watch you and our children. Or perhaps if you're single and you're dating men who have children, I love to watch and to hear and to overhear how you parent your children. Mm, right? Do we love the desirable compliments? Oh, hell yeah, right? We love to hear our spouse, our woman, right, say to us, you're a sexy babe. Oh my gosh, you look so good in and out of those clothes. You look so good. Hmm. You are so sexy. Your hair looks great. Your clothes look great. Your eyes look great. All of those positive affirmations, the traditional compliments. And I will invite you to consider the unconventional compliments, draws us into you emotionally. Again, a deeper connectivity to sex. Hello, Jen. Thanks for jumping on. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Tanya. Thanks for jumping in. Michelle says, recently I realized that the emotional connectivity may actually be more important to my husband than it is to me. Yeah, Michelle, I am sure you are not the only woman. Thank you for saying that. Thanks for stepping up. I agree. And there's probably some men on here right now that are thinking that, like, oh my gosh, I really, truly want to connect to my woman emotionally, but I don't know how. And I may not necessarily feel secure and safe in which to express that vulnerability. What I would tell you, gentlemen, my brothers, is to invite her into that conversation. Hey, babe, I want to connect with you, and these are ways in which I want to. Would you be open to that? See what she says. All right, friends, we're going to turn a page. So I always want to give you takeaways. I always want to give you some tools, and I'm specifically going to be speaking to the ladies here as we finish up our time together. I have some direct ways in which we men love to feel desired when it comes to sexual experiences specifically. Okay? See if these are things that you currently do, could do, would be open to, ladies. So I'm going to leave you in that way. And gentlemen, if you're on the call here, okay, add some things, please leave it in the comments. I always love to hear the comments and the feedback conversationally. All right, so here we go. What we're desiring, ladies, are you listening? Are you picking up? Take notes, okay? The first one is to initiate sex. I know there are many women, many women who do this, right? We men love this. We do, okay? Perhaps not all the time, that there is this co-creative symbiotic balance between who initiates and who doesn't. But ladies, let me assure you that we love it when you initiate sexual contact with us. Love it. We love to feel that confidence coming from you, saying, babe, I want you. That you initiate. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. The next one on the list, my friends, is enthusiasm. Ladies, we men love to know that you're enjoying, that you're wanting, that you're present with us, that you're showing your enthusiasm. We want to hear you moan. We want to hear you express. We want to hear, we want to feel and know that you want to be there with us sexually. We want to know that that is what's pleasuring you. We want to hear you. There is something incredibly powerful to the masculine soul and spirit right? And his body, when engaged in sex, when he receives the idea that you are enthusiastic, that you are into it. And one note here, ensure that it's authentic, okay? That you are not being something that you are not. Your authenticity is uber important to him, right? That you are there present, that you are enthusiastic, that you want to be there, and that it's truly you and not something perhaps that you watched or thought or a girlfriend told you. Okay. Next, variety. This is super important. Hello, Kara. Good to see you. Kara says, initiating sex with my ex-husband was incredibly hard for me. I wish I had done that more. Thank you for being vulnerable, Kara. Thanks for jumping on here. Yeah. Difficult, especially, friends, and thank you, Kara, again for bringing this up, especially when we have shame associated with our sexual narrative. Many of us do. Anyone have shame associated with sex? Maybe it comes from society, family, religion, whatever it may be, right? This can help provides obstacles and challenges for us to initiate, for us to lean into the confidence to initiate. I totally get it. Thanks again, Kara. Scott says, we men love your playfulness. Yes, we do, Scott. Incredibly. We love to be playful. Playful. It's a huge deal. I have this whole podcast on this idea of playfulness and how incredibly important it is in the initiation of pleasure in all facets of relationships. That's a whole nother day. Thank you, Scott, for bringing that up, my friend. Okay, variety. Let me get back to this. Variety includes, let me be very specific about this, variety in the sexual experience includes alluring ways to tease him in ways that are intoxicating for him. Now, here is an important differentiator, if I could speak. Teasing without resolution can be incredibly unhealthy. Okay, let me say that. But there is something about a tease. There is something about an anticipation. There is something about foreplay that we men gravitate toward, ladies. Let me say that again. We want emotional connection. We want foreplay. It's true. Ladies, if you're engaging with gentlemen that do not engage in foreplay, perhaps it's something to be mindful of. Variety includes, here's some ideas for you ladies, okay? Right? Remove those panties, ladies. Go without panties for the day and let your man know, even if you're not physically in the same space, let him know that you're not wearing any today. I'm telling you what, holy cow, it does something for us. Okay? Sexual texts that goes beyond just the typical, it doesn't have to be necessarily dirty and gnarly, although that could be really great. But it could be something as easy as, babe, you looked so good this morning. Just you wait till I get you home. And lastly, sensually, ladies, sensually flash him a part of your body that's alluring. While he's engaged in other activity, he's on the phone, perhaps watching a program, he's reading, right? Lean into him in ways that crash into his moment. Incredibly powerful for him. That is allowing him to know that something may be coming. We love this, ladies. We love it. Okay. Next. We want to know, this is important as far as the variety is concerned. Okay. This is one more note. We want to know that there are times, and how do you do that? You express it to us. Okay. We want to know that there are times when you want to be taken assertively. And ladies, you probably know what I'm talking about. All right. Nothing encased in violence. This is not what we're talking about. Okay. But encased in claiming, assertiveness, taking your woman, gentlemen, right? She wants this, right? She wants it with a loving spirit, an honorable spirit, but she wants to be taken. Ladies, we want to know that you want that. And as far as variety is concerned, we want to know how much you enjoy being made love to. There is a place for it all. Variety is the spice of life, as we say. All right. Next, that you are comfortable and confident. Ladies, I assure you, this is not about body image, that your body has to be perfect. In fact, when a man sees a naked woman, He is zoned in on her and he sees no flaws. I'm going to say that again. When he is zoned in on your nakedness, your confidence, your comfort, you're not hiding parts of your body. You're not flipping the light off, right? You're not hiding you. He is drawn into you, and the flaws that you may see, he will never see. Try it out. I promise. Touch him. Ladies, we want to be touched. Samantha says, foreplay is as much mental as physical. Yes, it is, Samantha. Absolutely. Kara says, yes, all day, any day. Take. Touch is completely underrated when it comes to what women think about men and what men think about men. Right? We love to be touched, ladies. Love it. Okay. Running your hands through our hair, squeezing, the drive-by ass grab. Ooh. Holding our hand, rubbing our back during sex is touching us in passionate ways that says that you're mine and I am yours. Do not underestimate the necessity of touch when it comes to a man connecting to you emotionally through the sexual experience. Express yourself genuinely. We touched on this a little bit earlier. Be you, not what you think he wants. Talk before, during, and after sex. Tell him that what ye just did feels really good. And be open, mindful, and curious, and invite him to consider other ways in which to pleasure you. He wants you to be honest. He wants to pleasure you, I promise. But we avoid the shaming aspect of it. Don't do that. Ouch. Okay. Invite him into the conversation. Hey, babe, would you be open? This feels really good. And I want you to do that to me. Kiss him. Yes, we love to kiss too, ladies. Okay. Kiss us. Kiss us during sex. Eye contact is so important in sexual experiences. Kiss us. We love to be kissed. We love to kiss. Explore various ways of kissing us. And lastly, best of both worlds. Best of both worlds. And this is specifically referring to types of sex. I think far too often we men think that women think, right, that engaging in oral sex and penetrative sex are two different things. That if I give one, then I don't have to give the other. What I will invite you to consider is we men love the best of both worlds. Okay? And I would invite, by the way, men, I would invite you to consider this. Ladies want the best of both worlds too. Oral sex is incredibly powerful and connective and incredibly emotional. Can be, perhaps should be. Right? That it's not either or, it's both and. Right? So engaged in sexual activity is that there is an oral connection in between switching positions. Consider that. A drive-by suck, if you will, a drive-by kiss, if you will. And this again goes to both men and women. Specifically, I'm talking about you ladies today because we're talking about what men are thinking about sex. I guarantee that you include the totality of the sexual experience, that all things are open and available. He will dive into you emotionally, I promise that for sure. Michelle says, men see the confidence you have in your body way more than they see your body. I found this to be very true. Completely agree. Thank you, Michelle, for your wisdom. Very, very true. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, specifically, ladies, we could go on and on and on. And because of our time constraints, we're going to end this here. So please continue to comment. Love that you have been here. What men really are thinking about sex, I promise you, is much deeper, much more emotional than you may think. I would invite you to consider inviting your man to these types of conversations, right? To say, hey, how do you connect with me? What if I tried this? What would you think? Right? Communication, 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 communication is the key here, ladies and gentlemen. The fact of the matter is, he is more like you than you may think. I promise you that. Right? I think far too often that we use ways in which to divide the masculine and the feminine, that we're so incredibly different and we have to learn completely different narratives and ways in which to interact. And I would invite us to consider that that may be too much. The bottom line is we both want to connect sexually on a deeply emotional level. And to be aware, ladies, that where we are learning sex is a place in which can be completely challenging in which the ways we want to connect with you. So I would invite you to be curious, be open, be receptive, be validating to where we're coming from a sexual standpoint. Thank you so much for jumping on here to DLea DLayered. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, noon Central. If you have questions, if you're considering, if you are thinking, what in the world does Daring Deeply do? What do we do? Well, what we do is we provide empowering coaching to high achieving professional men and women who are moving through transition to realize more peace, passion, and joy in the next season of life. That's what we do. And a lot of that has to do with how we connect to one another. So if you're interested in knowing more about how we serve and support clients, I invite you to leave a message, send me a DM. We're all over the socials, so please engage with us. We're so super excited that you're here today. Thanks for jumping on. And remember, you can always dare deeply. Always dare deeply. We'll see you very, very soon. Be back on Thursday. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. Thank you so much for jumping on. Bye-bye.